Coming up on Nebraska Stories, restoring the world's largest steam locomotive, the glory days of Sunday baseball, finding redemption through art, playing games to save lives, and life as a 19th century kid. Union Pacific steam locomotive Big Boy is undergoing a complete restoration. Hop aboard to learn about this massive undertaking.
They've driven hundreds of miles to see it.
It's a historic moment. It truly is.
They'd been jostling for the best view at every convenient rail crossing of the Union Pacific Main Line.
I was the only one here 5 minutes ago.
They'd been waiting for the Big Boy. Locomotive 4014 glided by 14 massive wheels turning smoothly. The locomotive was not under its own power. It was sandwiched between two modern diesel engines of the Union Pacific Railroad. It's a steam locomotive without the steam.
1.2 million pounds on that rail, 134 feet long, largest engine in the world. It's fantastic.
It's so long, 132 feet, it has a hinge in the middle to help it get through a curve.
Many rail fans like me never thought that this would ever happen. And to see it coming back on its home turf, where it hasn't been in over 50 years, is just something really special to see.
Since 1962, this particular Big Boy stood still and silent on display at a California rail museum. Fans were ecstatic when Union Pacific announced it would renovate the engine at its shops in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
The 4000 class is legendary, and it's been the most frequently asked question for 20+ years for the crew. When will the Union Pacific undertake the restoration and operation of a 4000, a Big Boy?
Making discreet inquiries to places where Big Boy locomotives were on display, the steam team found the perfect candidate for restoration at a rail museum in California.
For many, many months prior to the official announcement of this project, we would be traveling with the 844, and we all had the hand signals where we would go. We secretly knew what we were about to embark on.
There were plenty of unknowns on this journey, like how the hinged engine would deal with the turns, if the tracks would buckle under the weight, and whether the massive wheels would lock up.
We're greasing all of the side rods. There's a hard grease that is the lubrication for that particular type of technology. Several of my staff didn't even know what a steam locomotive was, and they are learning that. The locomotive teaches you a lot. We haven't operated a Big Boy on the Union Pacific since 1959. So the infrastructure that was there back when they ran these is gone, and the staff that worked on them, both operating and on the mechanical side, they're gone as well.
Hundreds lined the tracks when it arrived at the Wild West era train depot in Cheyenne. There were hardcore rail enthusiasts and families who just wanted their kids to see this behemoth from another era.
Talk about a PR stunt. This is a master of all PR stunts, I think.
Jim Ehrenberger was a staff photographer for the railroad. He remembers shooting the Big Boy doing what it was designed to do, hauling massive amounts of freight and coal.
The exhaust was loud, the whistle blowing, and the ground actually vibrated a little bit. So it was a sight. It was a sight.
The Rockies have always been a long, steep haul for a freight train climbing between Utah and Wyoming. Before 1940, that demanded 2 locomotives. A small fleet of big boys put into service handled the job on their own, especially important when rail traffic became a matter of national security.
These locomotives were needed during World War II. On an eastward train, they could come out with one big boy, so they didn't have to switch a train. That was a savings.
At the end of its journey back to Wyoming, the big boy was rolled into the steam team's workshop. It sits across the rail yard from the Cheyenne Passenger Depot. Back in the day, rolling this giant in for repairs would have been routine. Now, to accommodate the size of the machine and the scope of the project, UP even had to rebuild the shop before it could rebuild the locomotive.
These pits and the configuration of these tracks here make it difficult to work on a steam locomotive. What we'll do is we will remove these and we'll fill in the areas between, and that'll allow us to work on more than one locomotive at a time, and we can work on both sides of the locomotive without having to reposition the locomotive when we need to work on the other side. And getting to see the facility transition into a steam locomotive repair facility once again. That's been the exciting part.
Dickens felt the 4014 could be a good fixer-upper. The boiler appeared to be strong enough to be safely fired up again. Converting it from coal to diesel fuel will take 3 to 5 years. They started by peeling back a few layers of cast iron pieces and parts to get a closer look.
When you consider the locomotive operated from 1941-ish until 1959, it has a lot of life left in it. It also was operated for over 1.2 million miles, so it does have a lot of wear, but the core components are in very good shape.
Getting the big boy back on the rails is clearly a popular decision. It's a risky one, too. Union Pacific is betting millions of dollars that they will end up with a fully functional steam engine once the restoration is complete.
I started taking pictures in 1953, and the last big boy, this one, last operated in 1959, and I watched them all. They're marvelous machines.
After riding in the engine for the last leg of the trip, Jim Ehrenberger thought the 4014 proved it's as tough as ever.
I think it was built to last. If they take care of it, it was built to last.
Now it's up to the steam team to make it all work reliably and safely.
Barring some catastrophe or some other situation, this locomotive will run.
With their glory days behind them, old ball players reminisce about playing in Nebraska's Independent Baseball League. Batter up.
I didn't play for fun. I played to win. I was a sore loser.
Every small town, it seemed like, as I was growing up, had their own team, and they were competitive. These guys played ball, and they played it seriously.
Because it's huge in almost every little community you can imagine, who now maybe don't have teams, but they did.
The 30s, 40s, 50s, and most of the 60s were big in Nebraska baseball.
The whole area around here had neighborhoods, you know, like we don't have anymore. And if you had a neighborhood, even if there wasn't a town, they're likely to have a baseball team.
Lone Elm, Kansas, there was one building and it sold gas and beer. And the ball field was right south of that, and it was called Lone Elm, Kansas. Nobody lived there.
They had a ballpark, and they had a team. And you go by there now, and it's almost like I just picture ghostly images. I've been by there, and you see a building, you see this elm, you'll see anything else. You don't see a ballpark, but you knew. Back in the day, you could just hear the crowd cheering.
I lived for baseball, I really did. That was my everything. I had the I think it was 52 or 53, 53 I think. I had the scout from Chicago White Sox, Hugh Alexander, come down and scouted me as we played Liberty one Sunday. It was all Sunday games in them days because nobody hardly had lights, you know. And as soon as the game was over, I hadn't even got off the field, there he was talking to me. And he wanted me to go to Oklahoma and play in the minors down there. And my brother was in the Army at that time in Korea, and Dad wasn't feeling good, and I wanted to go, and Dad said, if you go, we're going to lose the farm.
It's amazing how many of them actually did sign professional contracts. So many of them would then say, you know, I had a chance to go, but I couldn't because I was the support of the farm and I had to stay home and work. Many situations like that.
It wasn't easy. I had that in my mind. I thought, I'll run away from home and I'll go down there. Then I got thinking, well, if I make it, I'll be okay. I can send some money home to Dad and help things, keep things going. But I thought, if I don't make it, I'd probably better never ever come home again.
And that was their story for a lot of them. You know, they had kids or a family or a wife, and they thought, you know, we can't afford to play professional baseball. But they had a long legacy, semi-pro.
You had your church, and then your chicken dinner, and then baseball. There wasn't any other distraction. Baseball was pretty much it in the summertime.
It was a social night for the whole community.
They'd pack them in. I mean, farmers would come from all over, not just the townspeople.
There'd be cars parked all the way around the ballpark, and they'd draw 3,000 people.
It was a topic of conversation all the time. They took pride in it. Each town had their own team, and they loved that team. They supported that team.
That was, I really enjoyed that. That was a great part of life, and I feel sorry for the people that didn't get to participate in that. There's nobody that shows up for the games, and there's no rivalries. They're just playing baseball for the love of the game, and that's okay, but they don't get that other stuff that we got.
To this day, it bothers me. I wish I'd have went and not made it. I'd feel a lot better than the way I do now, because I never will know. That's the big thing. I'll never know.
The pictures on the wall, the memorabilia that we show, we can identify with those old boys how important it truly is to keep it alive.
Before he found art, Freddie Rincon was a young man struggling to break free of gang life.
So, I've been trying to finish my name for like an hour and haven't been able to. My last show, more people that I didn't know came, and this one a lot more people that I knew came. Like a lot of my friends and, you know, people from my old world, they all came out here. Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time down here. We used to go into abandoned buildings, paint on walls like this, but it's changed a bit. I was born in Los Angeles on the east side, and then I grew up there for a while. We moved around a lot. And then around the time I was like 14, going on 15, we moved over here. The gang life's everywhere, you know, it's part of the culture. You know, like, let's say you're Mexican, and being in a poverty-stricken area, you're already kind of destined to go that way. At first, when I was young, I didn't want to be a gangster, you know, I don't want to get into that. I'll try graffiti. It starts out, you know, you think you're doing it for hip-hop and the art, but In that environment, it turns into, do you do what they tell you, or do you keep on your own way and deal with the consequences? And you know, at first we were calm, we did our graffiti thing, and there wasn't actually any taggers here other than, I think, a different crew. But then, what was it, when I was like 17, 18, our house got shot up. When they shot it up, the whole front of it had holes in it, and my brother was sleeping in the living room on the other side of the window. So they hit it with like 8 shots. Hello. From that day on, our whole mentality got more serious, you know? My major was graphic design. My first art professor, you know, he taught me, was teaching me techniques, and I really enjoyed it. He saw that, you know, I had a will to keep learning and to actually study art, and he encouraged me. You know, he's like, you might have a future in it, you know, you should keep at it, and I did. Hey, Alma, you want to pour water down your invention? You did it. It's broken. It's good. It's smart. If I didn't have them, why would I work, or why would I do any of this, you know? There'd be no point. It gave me a reason to actually start working, you know, paint, start changing my life. I've stuck to them like glue now, you know? It's all school, yeah. But before, you know, we'll go to parks, we'll hang out as a family, we'll talk, we'll have dinner. So we put them to bed around 9 o'clock. And by the time they're all in bed, then I can start painting. Lately, it was hard, and I knew I was falling behind. I'll come home, and I'll be tired. Sometimes I'll be painting, and my eyes will be closing. It's not rare, I'll paint till 1 in the morning. This is the title piece for the show. The show's called The Cards You Dealt. So meaning, you know, we're all dealt different cards, different situations. I've met people that, I mean, got dealt terrible cards, you know, physically, mentally, I mean, everything, and still managed to make something with their lives. And there's people that are born with everything and throw it away. So I admire people that can keep going.
Okay, yeah, I just see my shit, all right.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think YG6 coming right now. Yeah.
Very proud. You know, it's completely night and day from what he used to be, you know what I mean? And he was into art, but he wasn't focused on art and nothing. And so it's just really nice to see him literally go all out on all his art, you know, keep his mind on the right track pretty much.
Oh, I just did hot air balloons.
Yeah, I mean, what were you thinking?
The first time I saw his work, it was just so amazing. There was just so many emotions and just incredible pains and loves and passions. He's such a great, honest person. It's honest in the painting and in real life.
It feels good. I like seeing it, you know? It's interesting. I remember making all of them, but I like watching people look at them and, you know, then go ask them what they think, see if they find things.
Sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. That's tight.
See, I like how... So we are street art collectors. It's kind of a cross between pop art and graffiti with a political or social twist. We have one of the biggest street art collections in the Midwest, and we have everything from Banksy to Shepard Fairey to Mr. Brainwash, and we have pieces from Russia and China all over the world. I love that he's so talented, but it's unharnessed and it's so natural and it's so raw.
I think the pieces are very powerful. He definitely has a message behind what he draws, what he paints, and I really enjoy that.
this life's harder than that life. This life, it takes work, you know. It's a mission, you know. Dangerous situations and all that's nothing compared to like having to raise kids and raise them right and make them into like good men. That hopefully everything we're doing is good, you know, but you know, you deal with their emotions, their lives, their schoolwork. It's something, you know. I would have never thought the family life, it's a lot of work, you know, then keeping them all happy, healthy, it's a lot of work. More work than work, you know, but it's good, you know, it's worth it.
To maintain troop preparedness, the Nebraska National Guard is using competition to save lives on the battlefield.
And then details about it. How many are there? How many UXOs are there? Where was it located?
Truck 3 stopped and truck 1 and 2 already went by, so the ones that are in like the blast zone.
Tell me what you guys are doing real quick.
We're just getting ready to send up a UXO report. So for, you know, IEDs or any type of unexploded ordnance that we have to report it up to EOD.
Translation, WA is talking about reporting a roadside bomb to explosives experts.
Side of the road. Must remove to continue mission.
WA passes this test and moves on to another.
That's a go. Good job.
Part of a busy, high-stress day of training for several Nebraska Army National Guard units, a competition called Best Warrior, where soldiers are scored on different tasks.
We do training every month, but the big thing with the competition is that it kind of pushes them, it motivates them to train a little bit harder.
I have a 9-line medevac.
At Camp Ashland, which straddles the Platte River, soldiers also practice other communications tasks, like calling in a medevac helicopter for an injured soldier and spot reports of enemy activity.
For this, we didn't give you a Greek coordinate, so we asked you to describe the terrain. So it's an island, vegetated, with water all around, right?
Up the road at a training facility outside Omaha, soldiers from a different unit review a Humvee maintenance manual, push the disabled 2-ton vehicle down a paved road, and are quizzed while they give aid to a soldier who in this scenario has stepped on a landmine and lost her leg. When they finish,
transporting a casualty, typically you would go head or feet first.
The instructor does a hot wash, an immediate evaluation.
Overall, pretty good.
It went all right. We missed a couple things, but I guess that's always going to happen. So, again, you remember stuff when you get gigged on it more than you're going to remember if you don't.
Top Best Warrior performers from each unit advance to the state competition in the spring. What's the competition element bring to it?
Team camaraderie. There's maybe some little, I wouldn't say animosity, but between the different companies within the battalion wanting to be the top dog for the battalion.
Students take over Wessel's Living History Farm to experience life as 19th century kids.
You want to get your marbles across to fill up all these holes before that partner gets his. Ooh, I got another 7 points. Oh! Now, if this toy is this heavy, what do you think a big one weighed like? It was pretty heavy, wasn't it? All right. Once you need the batter, we're going to get our skillet ready over here. And do you hear that clock? Homemade pancakes, fresh off the griddle. These are going to be the best pancakes ever. Oh, boy, welcome to the farm.
Nope, wrong way. You're going to only go that way, okay? So do it, stick it, pointy end down. You're going to turn it The other way. Yeah. Okay.
Would you like to be a farmer boy from 1890?
Yeah.
Really?
Make sure everybody gets a chance to grind some cornmeal.
Okay, we should stop here. What's your husk?
Is there anybody that would like to live 125 years ago?
Watch our stories online at netnebraska.org/Nebraska Stories and go to Facebook to like us and leave a comment. Join the Nebraska Stories conversation. Nebraska Stories is funded by the Margaret and Martha Thomas Foundation and the Nebraska Office of Highway Safety. Sustained funding for arts coverage on Nebraska Stories is provided by the H. Lee and Carol Gendler Charitable Fund and the Nebraska Arts Council and Nebraska Cultural Endowment.